Good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 20th day of December, 2018. Well, our moon is moving through Gemini. I think it's Gemini. Let me look. I believe that's what I wrote. That's up on the blog, Lunar Transits today. So there's going to be an emphasis on maybe watching our mouths a little bit as we explore new opportunities and new ideas. We might just be feeling a little off today. So if you are, don't stress about anything. Just sort of kind of keep to yourself if you're feeling out of sorts, because you may not really know what it's about. It could just be, a biorhythm thing where we're just either in a peak or a valley and we're just not feeling real comfortable. So it might be a good time to hide out or just limit your involvement with other people if you're feeling like you're going to rise to the occasion at all. With Jupiter's expansive influence, you might, although Jupiter's so generous, it might actually work for you in this case. So hard to say. It amplifies, so just be careful what it amplifies. So let's see if there's anything else I forgot to say about today. I don't think so. I think that's all there is to say about it. Yeah, prosperity. Could expand on prosperity today. But again, if you're feeling out of sorts, maybe hold back a little bit and just take some time for yourself, do some self-care, self-nurturance, maybe do some meditation. We were just out and about at the store and we had a hard time finding what we were looking for. So we had to go to more than one store, which I think we ended up going to 3 different ones. And we finally got what we wanted, but not exactly. But it's this time of year, it's frustrating. My husband doesn't deal well with crowds, neither do I. And the other thing he doesn't deal well with is stuff in the aisles. If he's got to move around stuff, that just bugs the crap out of him. So he's not a good person to take with you when you have to go out and about this time of year. It's just really hard for him. So he gets grouchy and I don't blame him, because it can be just a real difficult time trying to get in and out of parking lots and all of that today. So it was so a lot of crazy people doing crazy things out there. So give everybody a lot of room, take your time, or just don't go. Or pick a better time, like, late in the evening or something when things are a lot calmer. Unless, of course, everyone's doing that. Then it won't be calm at all, will it? Let's count 13 and see what we have for today. Well, we had this yesterday, so let's do them again. Let's go ahead and do another card. I don't want to take the King of Pentacles. Was it yesterday or the day before we had the King of Pentacles? We had him one of those days anyway, I remember. We don't want to do that again. Let's see if we can get something else. Since the guy who thinks he's king here seems to be causing all kinds of headaches. So let's see if we can get a different guy to look at today. Now watch, I'll pull the same thing. Well, I have the 4 of Cups. So really, I really didn't do any better, did I? This is about pouting and being unable to see what you have. You can see a hand reaching out from the cloud. That's a little bit of illusion or something that's unexpected, something unknown, and it's offering a chalice to this individual who's got his back up against a tree, his legs crossed, his arms crossed. Who do we know that does that? sitting in a defensive posture. You've got it all there in front of you, but oh no, you can't look at it, can you? I'm going to draw another card. You know, 4 is about structure and foundation. And this card reminds me of a line in the Course in Miracles that says, "I need do nothing." If we are source energy focused into form, we really don't need to do anything, do we? But experience life and just simply not judge it. But it also means that we are fulfilled as we are. Ego gets in the way and we forget that. To hold the highest office in the land and to give away things to people that don't have our best interests at heart, that's bad enough. But to upend things simply because you're in a mood, because you know nobody likes you, maybe there's a reason why people don't like you. Maybe. So instead of crossing your arms and putting your back up against everything and being defensive and not paying attention to what you do have, you need to drop resistance and allow and look around and listen. Don't have it all come from you because you may not have all the facts. And if you listen to people that every time a fact comes out says, "Oh, no, 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 no," lamestream media, all that nonsense, well, everybody loses. Okay? Everybody loses. So, well, we have the Queen of Cups. I'm going to do another one. Let's just do it right now. So there may be a little bit of sense with the Queen of Cups. I think that she understands a little bit more, although, you know, she can be emotional, but she can be kind and loving, and she understands the greater picture. She understands that change has to happen, but at the same time, it has to be based on truth and facts and compassion and what's best for the greater good, which is this, the Six of Cups. So we have a trifecta of emotion here today. Obviously, because if the government shuts down, there's going to be some folks that may not, well, they won't get paid. You're going to have Secret Service protecting this fool. They're not going to get paid during that time. So, but they just have to do it anyway, right? So necessary and critical services don't happen. Lots of, I mean, there's a skeletal thing that continues. You know, I think Social Security checks go out, VA checks go out, that kind of stuff goes out. But I don't think too much of anything else does. A lot of things shut down when this happens. Now, sometimes they do it and it happens over a weekend and we don't notice. And they're back to work on Monday. But that doesn't look like that's going to happen this time, although it could. We had this one the other day, though, the Six of Cups. And it shows about sharing abundance with people. It's a different mindset, isn't it, than this? You know, and if you're looking at the even numbered cards as cards of spirit, this guy is not connected with spirit, is he? You could almost say that spirit is out there tapping him on the shoulder, holding out that cup, saying, "Remember me? Remember who you are? You are this compassionate individual. You don't need to get your back up about things. That's ego getting in the way of being unified with all and extending love and compassion to other people. Like this girl is doing with this other child. You see the flowers, the white flowers in each one of these golden chalices depicting purity of motive, of intention, of sharing joy and love and abundance with others. A selfless act versus selfishness in play. We need more compassion in this individual. We need more of this than we need this. Okay? But let me check the grimoire here and check on the Queen of Cups a little bit more to see if there's anything else. Yeah, I mean, she can be, she's a healer. She might have trouble setting boundaries with people, but at the same time, that's just driven by her compassion and boundless love for people. So you can kind of see on the ill-dignified side of the Queen, you can kind of see two ends of the spectrum here, maybe. One that just simply cannot connect with others, and one that maybe connects too much at times. But at the same time, her resonance is one of loving kindness, generosity, compassion, patience. She has the power of, I've written down here, the power of reflection and reception. So I think that really what we're looking at here is what's happening now. And this is either talking about what's going on, in our country, or perhaps we're just in a position where we can't really, we're just too bound up in our own self to be able to see anything anyone's offering us, to see what we have, to see the abundance that's there, or to even extend it to someone else. I mean, this guy's not going to be able to do what this young girl is doing here. He's not going to be able to align in his own loving presence. He's not going to be able to do that. Instead it's this business, and if you've studied psychology at all, one of the things you talk about in psychology, I have a degree in psychology, and talking about body language was something that we always did. It got integrated into all kinds of subjects that we talked about. It's not just, it's not just what people say. It's checking for micro expressions. It's checking for little tells that they have. Crossing one's arms is a definition or an expression of being afraid or defensive, or I'm going to close in. If you sit and talk to somebody and they suddenly close their arms and they cross their arms and they cross their legs, they're in a defensive posture. They're concerned about what's about to happen to them, and so they close in. It can be defiance as well. Like, I'm not going to change. I know what I know. I know that and I know you're all telling me that I'm completely wrong, but it doesn't matter because I know what I know. That's this guy. Let's see what the rune has to say, though. So if you're rigid and you can't let go, you can't let go and maybe think that maybe someone else knows more than I do. Look, the problem with the guy that's currently occupying the White House is he doesn't know anything, and he has no desire to know anything. He just gets feelings and he just goes with them. It doesn't matter if it upends everything, because of course he knows better. No facts. It's just what he thinks. I don't know. With all the bankruptcies in his life, maybe we shouldn't go with what this dude thinks. Here we have I was, which is the 13th rune of the Elder Futhark. Now, normally I don't like to reduce the 13. I consider it a master witch number, but we can reduce it to 4 today because it's going to align with this, isn't it? See, he's not paying attention to his basic structure. I mean, you can kind of even see with the tree there, it's showing an as above, so below influence, made manifest by the cup with the hand, out of the clouds, the hands extending the cup out of the clouds. Spirit's trying to inform, say, hey, you know what? This is not who you are. Pay attention. And that's what this is. This is about as above, so below. It's about bringing spirit energy into form and allowing that to inform who we are instead of allowing the ego to run amok and making all the decisions for us. It's the rune of paradox. It is considered the hunter rune, so it helps to attain objectives. It's defensive. It helps with endurance. It helps us to understand fate. It helps to guard against destructive behavior. It's known as the axis of transforming magical fire. The link between worlds. You can be used in a trance bind rune, or just on its own for trance working or path working, or hedge riding, shamanic journeying, whatever you want to call it. But this anchors us, basically. We are anchored by I was. I mean, it basically describes who we are as source presence, focused into form. The as above, so below nature of spirit informing the body and informing life here in form. You can see when spirit does not inform someone. You can see it. They exude that egoic presence, don't they? And it's hard because you can't really get through to somebody like that. Again, it's not that you don't want to have boundaries in your life, but I think when the boundaries preclude or do away with any amount of compassion that you have for other people, then that's not called boundaries, is it? I'm not sure what that's called. Maybe self-imprisonment? I don't know. But in a way, that's what this guy is doing. So if you're doing that in your life, maybe you need to look up and uncross your arms and uncross your legs and just, open yourself to people, open yourself to new experiences, and allow for this kind of generosity and grace to bless you and others. Because instead, the alternative is conflict and it's harm. The decisions that we make from this standpoint harm not just self, but others as well, potentially. Whether it's just around you in your own personal sphere of influence, or you're talking about someone in authority. Look at the potential for harm that's happening right now. They all thought it was going to go fine, and now it's not. Because we're going to sit with our back to the tree, cross our arms and our legs, and we're not going to look at anybody, and we're going to pout till we get what we want. Never mind if it's expensive and stupid and not needed. Doesn't matter. I want it. And by God, I am going to destroy everything until I get what I want. We all just want this. A little loving kindness. That's all. That's what the rest of the world wants. That's what the country wants. That's what most people want. We just all want to be able to be in harmony with one another and, going in the same direction where people are being taken care of or they have the ability to take care of themselves, where jobs are plentiful, where we don't have to worry about health care. We don't have to worry about, things that ought to be just a given in this country. As much money as we contribute with our tax dollars, do that first before you do anything else. But, that's not what's going on. And it just seems like what's happening now is very short-sighted. And it just seems to really, really embody the whole nature of this. You just can't see anything. And if you're experiencing this sort of thing, trust me, it's just a really lonely place to be. So think about that, especially that, we have holidays coming up. If you're going to spend some time with family, that can be difficult right now, particularly if, you're on the divided lines of the political political parties. You may have a hard time coming together. Um, and I don't know what that really portends for the future when all this gets resolved. I don't think it's going to get resolved in supporters' favor. I don't think it's going to get resolved in the favor of the guy in the Oval Office right now. I think it's going to come crashing down here, and I don't think it's going to be too much longer. But you never know. It's taken longer than we thought, but with all of the obstruction now that's pretty much going to be gone, other than the Senate maybe. But even those folks at some point are going to have to see this for what it is, and then deal with it accordingly. So we can't have a child as the commander in chief, and that's what we have. And that just doesn't work for anybody. It doesn't work in a family where you have, mom and dad, aren't ready to be parents, and they're not being parents. Do you remember the time where I remember when my kids were growing up, some of the parents out there thought that they needed to be friends to their kids. Instead of actually parenting them, they were their friends. In fact, in some households, they didn't say mom and dad, they called their parents by their first names. I found that appalling. I mean, we weren't exactly, the traditional household. I mean, we ultimately homeschooled and all of that. So, I mean, we didn't do it for religious reasons. We did it because the kids were gifted and they weren't getting what they needed in school. So we just decided to do it on our own, and they finished at home and went on to college and graduated. And, it's a workable thing. People do it for all kinds of reasons. That's just why we did it. So it's not that we're, the most traditional of folks, obviously, but at the same time, I think that when you're a parent, you're a parent. When you're a leader, you're a leader. And you go into it informed. You go into these situations, ready to look at all sides of things, especially if you're a leader of a country. You want to go in there with some level of understanding of what it all is, which isn't what's going on now. You have to be able to be intelligent enough to listen to the people that you have working for you, because they're the ones that are actually going out there finding out things. If you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to listen to them, well, you look pretty stupid. And if that's the case, you shouldn't be in the position. You need to be fired. Really. If you had any intelligence at all, any integrity at all, they resign. If you've suddenly found yourself in a position where you're in over your head and there's no hope of ever climbing out of that, then you have to resign. You have to have enough personal integrity to do what's best. You can't simply flounder when you're the leader of a country. You can't make decisions that are destructive, that have no basis in reality. When you're egged on by news people at a particular channel. Are you kidding? Where you're buoyed by weird campaign things that you're continuing to do because you like the applause. It's the only time he's happy. What does that tell you? What should that tell all of us? We got to let this guy go. That's what we got to do. Just like we've got to let go of feelings of this with others, where we don't want to communicate, we don't want to extend ourselves. It doesn't help the situation. So anyhow, thanks so much for coming by today. I'm going to go ahead, I think, and take Well, I'm not sure. I'm gonna wait. I'll either be back on Monday or I'm gonna take a couple of days off and I'll be back on Wednesday. But I might be back on Monday. We're gonna go ahead and do our winter solstice dinner tomorrow, and then we're probably gonna do one more on the last day of winter solstice on the 1st. So, um, or rather of Yule. It's the Yule period, actually. I think that we'll probably do that. I bought the roast. I'm going to do the roast dinner tonight or tomorrow night, and then I'll do, I think, a turkey breast on the 1st. And then we might do one more in the middle somewhere. So either on Wednesday or Thursday maybe of next week, we might do one more dinner. So we've decided to do it in threes this year. And we were talking about this morning. It's like, okay, how do we want to do this? How do we want to structure it? Because it's just the two of us. And so we've decided to do, like I said, the roast tomorrow, the turkey on the 1st, on January 1st, and then again another one sometime in the middle of it. We're not exactly sure when we're going to do that though. So it'll be fun. So enjoy your holiday. If I don't talk to you until Wednesday, have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas holiday with your family if you're going. If you're not, I hope you just have a lovely day to yourself. Sometimes people like to do that. They're just not comfortable in big settings, and so they just like to do the holiday on their own and maybe go visit another time. However you like to do it, if you're celebrating winter solstice and Yule, blessings to all of you. And thanks so much for coming by. Um, it's been a lot of fun this year doing this. I think I started it in July, I think. Maybe it was June. I don't remember now. I'll have to go back and look. Um, but it's been a lot of fun. And I hope to continue doing this next year along with some other things. And so I'm thinking about what that's going to be. I'm not exactly sure yet. I know it's going to have something to do with herbs, probably something to do with cannabis as well. A little more on empath stuff, maybe a little more witchcraft. I don't know. We'll see about all that though. Um, I'm probably going to publish 2 more books next year. I assume both of them will get done next year. They're not quite done yet. They're not quite done yet. About halfway on one on the novel, and maybe a little more than halfway on the other one. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll keep you all apprised of that. But if I don't see you for the rest of the year, if you go and do some other things and you don't end up on YouTube, we hope you come back in January. If not, maybe we'll see you on Monday. Anyhow, be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.